Thanks for joining our session with the beautiful name here, Embark on the Clean Core Journey, Travel with SAP Cloud ALM. It's just a coincidence that this second origami is then also a boat. That was not actually the plan. So my name is Jörg Marenk, and together with my colleague Andreas Blank, we're going to talk about in the next 30 minutes about the topic of Clean Core, how it's embedded in the device with SAP methodology. So this theory part at the beginning, we want to keep it as short as possible because we want actually to focus on the measurement of Clean Core and also all the recommendations that we want to provide with our different tools that we have in place at SAP, and we want then to conclude with an outlook on what we are planning in the next weeks and months. So let's start why we are talking about the topic of Clean Core, also in this whole construct of the device with SAP methodology. So that slide was already presented this morning by Søren during the keynote, so I can maybe keep it as short as possible. So what is our goal? Our goal is that we want to move our customers from their existing landscape to the modular SAP Business Suite. That is the idea. And that independent from where they are actually starting. So how much legacy code they are having on their ECC system, that doesn't matter for us. We want to have this framework with all the different tools, Cloud ALM, Signavio, LeanIX, WalkMe, etc. And we want to achieve that the customers that are making that transition are not behaving like in the past. So with Clean Core, we are actually tackling this modernization. So we want to make the system better and also to continuously innovate. So we want to bring the customers into a position that they are constantly also able to upgrade their system to the latest, so to actually consume the latest functionalities that we are delivering. And Clean Core is for that the prerequisite, because the closer you are to a Clean Core compliant system, then the easier it is also to make that update. This is maybe also a slide that you have already seen in different variants. So when we are talking about Clean Core, we are talking about 5 different guiding principles, sometimes also called dimensions, which we actually help to ensure that your system is agile and that you are also able to act agile and ready to adopt the latest innovations. So we're talking there about business processes, so keeping the processes as much as possible closely to the standard. Extensibility, so that you're doing extensions without modifying the core. That is the goal, so that you decouple this from your core. That you have a good data quality, so that you're also keeping the data lean, that you're keeping the data reliable, and with that achieving a good data quality. Keeping your landscape reliable and flexible. This is as part of the integration, so that you are using modern API technologies instead of old-fashioned, high-risk integrations. And also that you are able to keep your operations effective and efficient. So that is the idea. And now the questions that are usually coming up is, as a customer, how good or how bad am I with regards to those different dimensions? And this is where actually then the Clean Core measurement comes into the game. So we as SAP, we want to provide you with the tools, also with services on top of that, that are giving you the insights that you see what is your current status. And from there then going into the right directions, making the right decisions. And here, I also want to do a short recap of what we have done with the Clean Core measurement framework. So in the last couple of months and, yeah, you can say 1.5 years, we started with the Clean Core definition, first of all. So this is what we are talking about, these 5 different dimensions. And then back last year in April, we have started the Rise of SAP methodology framework. So this framework that is guiding the customers through the different phases of the project. Maybe you have heard of the Clean Core Success Plan, where you have then the possibility for every single phase of your project also to get the right access to the right tools and do also the right activities. That is all part of this Activate framework that we have launched. And at the end of every phase, there were then these quality gates where we're actually evaluating how good you are with regards to specific questions that are targeting Clean Core guidelines. And based on those quality gates, you have then received different recommendations that were helping you to make then the next steps into the right direction. And now we are here at this point. Now we want to launch the Clean Core measurement framework. So this is still not completely finalized, but parts of that are already available. And we are talking there about 3 main pillars: the governance and maturity, I will talk about this, the KPIs that we are measuring on your system, and then also the benchmarking at the end. Because sometimes it's also hard to understand with the data that you're receiving. Maybe you see then we have 5,000 custom code objects in your system, but what does it mean? Is it good or is it bad? Then making there some comparisons with your peer group will actually help you then to better understand where do you need to improve. So let's talk about the Clean Core Measurement Framework more in detail. So we are always talking about these five dimensions, and the governance and maturity on the left-hand part of that slide, from your point of view, this is all about the organizational setup. So do you have the right tools in place? Do you have structures in place like the Solution Standardization Board? Do you have also the expertise in your organization? So do your developers, for example, have received the trainings to make custom code in a Clean Core compliant way? That kind of questions we are asking as part of this governance and maturity framework. And those questions will be answered together with you as a customer and will be then maintained in the Clean Core quality gates. So this is a kind of, you can actually see it as a self-assessment that you're doing. So you are getting those questions asked, you're answering them, and then you're getting an evaluation with those information. But this is just, as I said, a self-assessment. The important part, and on the other hand, is to mix it with the data that we really see on the system. And here we are talking then about the metrics and KPIs for the different dimensions. So how much custom code did you create? How good is your data quality? Which interfaces are you using? That kind of information we want to collect. We are showing them already today, partly in the RISE with SAP methodology dashboard, not for all dimensions yet, but for extensibility, integration and operations that is already in place, and the other dimensions will follow then soon. And all of these things, as part of the Clean Core measurement framework, will guide you with your status with regards to Clean Core compliance, and is also then helping you actually to derive the right decisions to move forward, so that you also can see where you need to improve. So the RISE with SAP methodology dashboard is one crucial part of this, as already mentioned. And we are also planning to have in that dashboard different users or personas addressed that are using that one. So starting on a very high-level executive overview, where we provide the information very crisp for the different dimensions for the decision makers. Then we want to provide also a project view, so for a project manager, project lead, to see what's going on, what's the status of our projects. Are we using in those different projects also our integrated tool chain that is provided by SAP in the best way? We will also focusing, or we will target a landscape view that you see which systems do you have in place and how are these systems connected to each other. Which interfaces are you using? How good or how bad are these interfaces working? That kind of information will be displayed there. We have then the system and operations view, where I have then individual information to a specific system. So then you really can see what is going on that system, again, with regards to the different dimensions. And then the deep dive dashboards. I think this will be then the crucial part where you really get into technical details. Let's stick with the example of custom code. So which objects have been created there, who has changed this object the last time, to which package it is belonging, maybe even the emergency rate, so how often is this object also changed, those kind of information we want to provide in the deep dive dashboard. So that's also getting actionable, because if you just be part on a very high level, you have not the possibility actually to execute on something, but those deep dive dashboards, that is something really that is helping you then to go into the details to get better. And all those parts here, this is customer facing. The one below, this is something that we have internally. This is the so-called WISE Data Platform. Maybe the easiest way to explain it is it's a kind of data lake where we are connecting the different information together. So we already have different data sources in SAP also in place, where we measure, where we have information about custom code, where we have information about data quality, but we want to bring it together. And we also, as part of with this dashboard, we want to achieve that you don't have to do too much actually on your side with regards to configuration to see then also this kind of data in your dashboard. That's why we are collecting this centrally for you in the background. So if you are already a RISE with SAP customer, but maybe you haven't started your Cloud ALM tenant yet, or you didn't even provisioned your Cloud ALM tenant, we already have your data. And as soon as you have the Calm tenant provisioned, you will directly see in the dashboard also your data. So you don't need to do there something, or at least not for all dimensions. And the central data platform also is actually helping then to make this peer grouping and benchmarking, because only if we have this centrally, we have then the possibility also to compare you to your competitors. Okay, the dashboard as such is giving you the transparency, but as a customer, by the way, these are the ones which we already have, so the other ones will come to the Outlook then later on. It's still on our roadmap, but these 3 ones we already have in place. Transparency is just the first step. The second step is then also receiving recommendations. As a customer, I would expect that SAP is helping me, guiding me in making the right decisions. And all these additional offerings that we have in place, they should be tightly integrated. So this is our strong goal, and I've just made it here as with extensibility as an example. So let's assume you are a RISE with SAP customer. Then you also have automatically this foundation success plan assigned to it. And then you have access to the dashboard, and you have access to additional stuff that is helping you with your custom code topic. So you have the development libraries in SAP Cloud ALM that you can use. We have additional quality check services that you can also consume. So that is already quite helpful. If you need more guidance, there are then other offerings. And we have in the advanced there, we have the AI assistance for max attention. And if you say even that is not enough, I want to get more services then on top, you even can then subscribe to the max layer. We then have individual services like the intelligent custom code management. So really based on your needs, you're then receiving the offerings that we have. And all of them should also work together based on the same data foundation. Otherwise, sticking again with the extensibility example, you have in one tool 100 modifications as a counter, and in another tool you have 150. And as a customer, you would be confused. And that should not actually happen. And with that slide, then I would like to hand over then also to Andreas, who is going to explain you more things about the AI systems for max attention, because that's the new cool kid on the block that we want to launch.
So please take a mental snapshot of this picture. We will now drill down into this section. The name of the product that we are going to offer next year in January is AI Assistance from SAP Max Attention. And what Jörg outlined was the easy part, agreeing to an aspiration, clean core, and then providing the transparency, giving the look into the mirror that shows me how far off am I. The question is now, how do we move the needle? And this is where we see SAP has to show some accountability to extend our hand to you, to empower you and your organization to do more by yourself and not rely, like in many cases today, on third party, on your own internal resources that are always constrained, and be empowered to accomplish improvements that you can track in Jörg's dashboards. So this is the initial set that we will offer in January. Consider this, we call them capabilities, there are 6 of them, but in order to compare to things that you are familiar with and to understand, okay, what exactly is it, you could look at those 6 as titles with episodes. And initially we will cover concerns in your organizations, in your operational structures related to data capacity, the growth of data, its footprint, the evolution readiness, how complicated is it to take the next stage, go to the next release. How good are we in terms of adopting what SAP is offering and what I am entitled to as an organization? We look at aspects of operations excellence for the business BTP. Enduring cybersecurity is a key aspect of your operations. And then last but not least, extensibility intelligence. And as I mentioned, this is the initial set. We are working on extending this library with additional titles. And over time, we will also address all the other clean core dimensions, beginning with data and its quality, and the clean core integration as additional topics that we have planned to add to this list early next year. So now you have this library and you're a subscriber to our new beautiful offering next year. What is your device to consume this content? Surprise, surprise, it's Cloud ALM. So the content has been designed in a way, technically, that it runs in the applications that you own if you decide to establish your own Cloud ALM tenant. And we add a little data intelligence, also to justify our name to some degree, to use the data that we have available to analyze your situation, and we are sharing the data architecture with Jörg and the team. So we are sitting on top of the same data platform so that you don't have conflicting information about the same status in regards to the clean core dimensions. And now let's drill down into the extensibility intelligence. Again, just as for the sake of an example, you can extrapolate to all the other dimensions that are listed here. And again, it's not a service that you receive from SAP and that SAP resources are delivering for you. It is an approach to give content through Calm to your resources, to your team, to be empowered, moving the needle. And the source of this expertise is harvested from our today's Max Attention delivery service business. So we have an organization of 3,500 consultants, experts in all these different subject areas that have the task, once they get home from customer A, B, or C, to see what can be generalized, which patterns are common, and where do we have a chance to actually standardize not only the problem statement, but also the way to solve it, to address it. And translate this into technical content that runs inside Cloud ALM. And in particular, we use an engine that we label the Insight to Action engine to serve two purposes. One, to drive the automation of the assessment, your situation assessment, through data intelligence, but also to provide data in interactive dashboards so that the people that in the end have to make decisions on the behalf of your organizations, we call that persona, donor decision. Donor decision needs have an understanding and get a sense for the data that comes from your systems in order to follow our recommendations or have a different opinion about what we found. We use another engine in Cloud ALM that's called the Service Execution Engine, where these engineers prepare templates to enable a rule-based reasoning. So sometimes data talk a very loud voice and a loud language and say, okay, these are the facts. You need to act. This is a serious situation. You need to improve it. But still, you need some convincing words, some description of the business impact, opportunity cost, technical debt, a little bit of reasoning in order to really go over the line and say, you know what, I buy into this recommendation. I want to allocate my resources to act on SAP's recommendation. And to manage this backlog of optimizations that we are generating in this data-driven approach, we recommend using the issue and action management. Again, an application inside Cloud ALM. And last but not least, if donor decision decided in favor of our recommendation, it says, you know what, I want to remove some unused custom code artifacts from my system and I want my team to do it themselves. She would sign off on this follow-up activity and we would provide the entire content needed to run a Calm project and task management project to accomplish what was desired. So, and this is how it looks like for this initial edition of our offering. We have focused on the 5 most common deliverables. Deliverable is a term in the project and task management. It's a way to cluster certain activities that we recommend to your team. And these 5 are the most common aspects of achieving a higher rating in terms of the clean core extensibility rating schema. I don't know if you are familiar with the stickers that we put on our electronic devices, how much is the CO carbon footprint impact, and is it energy compliant? And now we take a similar approach with customization extension. So these are 5 things that you could do yourself without relying on external help to actually get more compliant. Yeah. First of all, buying into the concept of the extensibility according to Clean Core, removing redundant extensions, things that are no longer used or are completely redundant to something we have to offer in SAP Standard. Those that needs to remain because it's still needed and used. We want to offer you ways to optimize the quality, to minimize the, let's say, side effects of having extensions in the system. And then we show very specific steps how to embrace technical capabilities in our solution to extend the solution beyond SAP's standard scope, out-of-the-box capabilities, but within the definitions of Clean Core extensibility. And now if we drill down into what exactly have we done in order to enable your teams, this is a screenshot from the project and task management, and now we navigate through some of the elements. In preparation for this event, I have just created a, let's say, maximum project just for the extensibility content, and it's a list of 88 items. All of them have similar structure. There's a clear description of what we are looking at, and a clear recommendation of, you know, what to do that can be assigned to a technical resource, to an expert, and that Donner Decision can track in the PTM overview applications to see how we are progressing. We use the entire object model of project and task management to provide really deep structures that help you to structure and organize the work. Sometimes it's not about solving the technical problem of the day. Sometimes it's really about the amount of things that need to happen in order to get to the finish line, and how to structure that work and how to organize the work without too much overhead outside the system. So this is why we told our teams to really embrace the object model of PTM and really structure the content according to it. Clear task definitions, I would say that's a no-brainer. Wherever possible, really use references to the ocean of content, traditional content, like videos, PowerPoints, blogs, SAP notes. There's an ocean of content that's available. The problem is not that the content doesn't exist. The problem is to associate that content with the situation where it's needed and put it in front of the person, the role that needs that content in order to complete the task. That's really the problem that we try to address with this. And last but not least, by deciding to make this service content offering available inside CALM, we will benefit from everything that's already existing in terms of features and capabilities of the entire suite of lifecycle tools. But everything we learned this week and that's coming as a side effect, so to say, makes our offering more valuable to all of us too. Because when they improve PTM, when they improve capabilities inside SAP CALM Build, this becomes more valuable and more usable for you as well. With this, I want to start handing back to Jörg, but as a summary of what is, and again, this is about elaborating how this technically will look like for you, and you can make up your mind if you are interested to learn more. There are opportunities to talk about this to us, but from a commercial point of view, this is what SAP is preparing to announce in January next year. So we are really in the last stages of completing the package and launching it early next year. This is the entry in the list of entitlements that you will find that refers to the content I was just advertising. And this is again, you will recognize the 3 layers of entitlements that we will offer and structure this offering going forward. So stay tuned for more along the lines of the new service and support portfolio.
Right. Thank you. Then let's have a look at the outlook. So with the, and I mean, Andreas already talked about the outlook for AI assistance with Max Attention. Now let's have a look at the roadmap for our dashboard. So Q3 we already now finished. So we have, for example, added the integration technology card so that you now see also what's going on with regards to interfaces that you have in place, and we also then evaluate how good or how bad those interfaces are. Now we are in Q4. So we want to add now the next dimension with the with data volume efficiency KPIs we want to tackle. Maybe you have heard also that SAP has recently announced an refinement of the extensibility definition. So custom code in different levels, level A, B, C, and D, that we want to tackle and want to release next week actually also to our customers. And this whole governance and maturity part that I have spoken about. So all those questions to see how good is the setup of your organization, that is also something that we would like to tackle in Q4, and then the operation setup score, so that you also get the transparency, what is missing from a configuration perspective in your system. And due to the time, so Q1 and Q2, you see then we have a lot of things that we have in mind that we want to build. I already talked about the different views that we want to add with the project view, with the landscape view. Data is not just about data volume, but it's also about data quality, for example, that we would like to add. So we are packed with ideas that we want to do. Of course, not everything can be done in 3 months, unfortunately. But you see there is still a lot to come. And if you maybe remember last year, ALM Summit, we were talking about this dashboard, and everything that I showed there was just Figma, was mock-up designs that we showed there. And in the meantime, we have now a dashboard that is already covering 3 of the 5 clean core dimensions and is constantly enhanced. So you can be sure we are working on that. If you want to get more information about our dashboard, there are also different sessions during this week. I mean, I also added here the session, for example, that Andrea did in the morning with operations. Of course, you cannot attend it because it already was, but we will provide again videos after the ALM Summit. So you have then also the possibility to watch the real life. We have some demo booth sessions. Priyanka has shown this morning already the interface management. Mirko is going to show later today something about the dashboard. Shahad is then on Thursday with the clean data, and I have another session with Mirko on Thursday also, where we are talking about extensibility a little bit more in detail. So a lot of things that you will get for details, and whenever you meet us on the floor, just reach out to us and ask us directly. So I see also nearly all of the team is also here in the room, so just ask your questions. We have also another session that Andreas is doing tomorrow, yes. Together with Lisa, where he's also digging deeper into this topic of AI assistant for SAP Max Attention. So if you want, you can also have a look there. And one last thing that I would like to encourage you, some of you maybe were already part of our customer engagement initiative for the dashboard this year, where we're actually focusing more on the definition of personas and users that should work with the dashboard. We have now also the registration opened last week for the initiative next year. So if you want to join us, if you want to get some early insights in what we are delivering, if you want to participate in testing, if you want to provide feedback, then you have the possibility to do so. Just use this registration link. There's also the link, if you received in the slides, that you can use. And it's important, registration is open until November 15th. And based on my experience from last year, if this deadline is not met, it's hard to get you in. So you should do it in the next 4 weeks. All right, so we have 45 seconds left. Wow, not bad. So if you like, you can directly ask a question or approach us afterwards. We are then also in the networking area, and whenever you see us on the floor, just hold us back and then ask your questions. Otherwise, thanks a lot for the attention. So is there a specific question that you would like to ask? I mean, why not use the break? No? No? Okay. Then thanks a lot. Have a good rest of the day. Als ob man 3 gemacht hätte.